We are starting things off on the NFL side a little bit rough this week. Started off 0-1 as the Falcons did beat the Ravens by 6 on Thursday. We had the Ravens in that game, so that didn't pan out too well for us. And I am trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this to where I need it, because NFL Network changed their stuff up. Yeah, this will work fine. Okay, Tennessee and Miami. Down in Miami. Of course, the big news is Randy Moss, now a Tennessee Titan. He makes his Tennessee Titan debut today. I think that'll be good. A lot of people are saying that Tennessee is missing just that one link to getting to the Super Bowl. I personally think Randy Moss could be that link. And I think that with Randy Moss, the Titan, especially with Kenny Britt being out, I think that's what they need. That's what the Titans need. The Miami Dolphins, obviously, that eventually they are going to break out and have an explosive game at home. The problem the Miami Dolphins, I think, are going to have is stopping Chris Johnson. Of course, that's a problem that most teams have, is stopping Chris Johnson. I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a tight game. I think the Titans win by a field goal. Tennessee is my pick there. New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, the Battle of the Ryans. It's been kind of interesting all week to listen to the back and forth banter between Jets head coach Rex Ryan and Browns defensive coordinator and Rex's brother Rob Ryan. They've had some fun, playful shots at each other. Now, I think that the interesting thing about this is Rob Ryan is really good at picking apart a defense. And where is the Jets' strength in their team? Their defense. That is where the Jets' main strength comes from. Not saying the offense can't do it. Mark Sanchez, Braylon Edwards, they're both stellar players. But, can Cleveland pick apart that Jet defense? That's going to be the interesting thing. I am hesitantly making this pick my lock of the week. I'm going with the Jets. I'm hesitant, but I don't know really where else to go and where else to feel somewhat comfortable. But here's the thing I think that's going to help the Jets. I think, Cleveland is a really young team. They beat New England last week, and I think that is going to have them on a little bit of a high. A little bit too much of a high. And I think, so in the end, the Jets will be able to take advantage of that. The Jets will come up with a win. The Jets just barely beat the Lions. They're not going to be happy. They just barely beat the Lions by 3 last week. They were shut out by the Packers in Week 8. So there you go. That's the one thing to watch there. I've got the Jets. That's my lock of the week. Cincinnati, Indianapolis. Cincinnati is still bad. Cincinnati is banged up. Chad Ochocinco is starting to complain. He's not happy. Big shock. The one person in Cincinnati who's not complaining, surprisingly enough, Terrell Owens. I think T.O. has finally realized it took him forever to get a gig. So therefore, that means maybe he finally realized he's not as important around the NFL as he once was, or as he thinks he is. Therefore, he doesn't have many options. Therefore, he has to be happy with what he's got. Indianapolis. Indy is not Indy. They are so beat up. It is not even funny. Austin Collie is injured. Dallas Clark is out for the year. Joseph Adai is hurt. Mike Hart is hurt. Indianapolis is completely beat up. They barely got by Philadelphia last week. I'm sorry, actually, I take that back. They did not get by Philadelphia last week. My bad. Philadelphia did beat them last week. Philadelphia is a good team. Not knocking on Philadelphia, but Indy is in some trouble. However, if they have a game where they can bounce back, I think it's against this severely reeling Cincinnati team. I've got Indianapolis winning this game. Next up, we have Houston down in Jacksonville. Jacksonville surprisingly has the spread in this game, and it's I believe 1.5. And I'm surprised by that. I think Houston is ultimately the better team than Jacksonville. Unless Jacksonville can really get Maurice Jones-Drew running well, I think Houston isn't going to really have a problem in this game. David Garrard has really never extremely impressed me and really is not impressing me this year. They are so beat up in the quarterback spot. Trent Edwards, David Garrard, they've both taken their shots. They've both had their fair share of injuries this year. Houston is one of those teams where it's kind of rocky. You don't know what you're going to get from week to week. There's a lot of people saying Gary Kubiak's job could be in jeopardy here if the Texans don't make the playoffs, and I would ultimately agree with that, because the Texans came out looking good this year, thinking that they were going to be good. I think Houston does get by Jacksonville today. Houston is my pick. Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears is the next game out in Chicago. Brett Favre told the NFL Network this week it will be, when asked, will you be back in 2011? Favre paused and then answered with no. One thing I find a little bit suspicious about that, he had a smile on his face. He had a little smirk on his face. If you can find that video, go back and watch it. He had a little smirk on his face. That's something to keep an eye on. I personally don't think he'll be back. I know a lot of people do. I don't think he will be back. Him and Childress just don't get along. I think unless the Vikings win the Super Bowl this year, which we know isn't going to happen, Brad Childress is out in Minnesota. Players do not like him. Anonymous players were talking to a Chicago newspaper this week and saying stuff like, he doesn't have our back, we don't have his. We don't like him, we're playing for us, we're winning for us, we are not doing it for him. Sidney Rice will not play, Percy Harvin will play. But I think in the end, Chicago does win this game. I think it's a good football game. I don't think Chicago blows Minnesota out, but I think Chicago wins. Minnesota continues to struggle. I think the thing, and it's gonna be really interesting. This could be a breakout game for Jared Allen. He's been struggling lately, but this could be a breakout game for him. He needs a breakout game. This one could be it, because that offensive line for the Bears, as we know, is weak. Jared Allen could get to Cutler. I still think in the end, though, that it is the Bears beating the Vikings. Next up, we have Carolina and Tampa Bay. I look at this game, all I can say is yuck. Tampa Bay is fun to watch. Josh Freeman is fun to watch. Carolina, not good to watch. Carolina is miserable to watch. The spread is high. Buccaneers have the spread by 7.5. To be honest, I do a thing with the spread, and I think Tampa Bay covers it. I think Tampa Bay has a field day with Carolina today. Carolina is bad. Tampa Bay is good. Let me tell you, Tampa Bay is still missing a few pieces, but next year I think Tampa Bay has those pieces, and I think Tampa Bay is a good team next year. They're an okay team this year. They'll move to good team next year. I think John Fox is out in Carolina and is in serious trouble. Tampa Bay wins this game. Detroit and Buffalo. A lot of people are saying that this is a tough game. Buffalo, I believe, has the spread in this game, which is really... No, actually they don't. The Lions do have the spread in this game. And I think the Lions should have the spread in this game. I think the Lions win this game. There's a lot of people saying, well, Buffalo could get their first win. I don't think they do. The Lions are not going to be happy. They had a chance to be a defensive monster in the Jets last week, even though the Jets did not look like a defensive monster. They had a chance to beat them. I think they beat Buffalo today. I think they have themselves a good game, but I wasn't comfortable enough to make that my lock of the week. I've got the Lions winning that game. Next up, we have Kansas City in Denver. Denver in trouble. Josh McDaniels could be on the hot seat. Denver's another one of those teams where you just do not know what you're getting. I think Kansas City wins this game. I think it's a tight game. Kansas City going to be mad because they lost in overtime to I believe they lost in overtime to the Oakland Raiders. I don't have time to go back and look at that. I apologize if I'm wrong. I admit that I'm wrong. Anyway, I've got Kansas City beating Denver in a good game today. Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants. Wade Phillips is finally out. Everybody has been crowing for it for this whole time. It's great for the Cowboy fans that he is finally out. That's what they needed. Is Jason Garrett going to be much better? I'm mixed on that. And the reason why I say no is this. It's a lot of offensive problems that the Cowboys have had. Cowboys have had penalty problems. They've had offensive problems. Jason Garrett's calling the offensive plays. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The Giants had their way with the Seahawks last week, just like I predicted in my lock pick. I only have 2 losses in my lock pick. 7-2 thus far in my lock pick. And I think the Giants continue to roll today. I think they roll all over the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys get blown out as bad as they did by the Packers on Sunday night, but I do think that the Giants have their way pretty easily with the Cowboys today. Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals. You know, I'm actually going to go with Arizona in this game. I think Arizona is the better team than Seattle. Seattle obviously not going to be happy. Seattle looked like a rag doll against the New York Giants last weekend. And so I've got Arizona in the game. Next up, we've got, if I can get to the right page again, because I'm flipping through tabs. St. Louis, San Francisco, another NFC West battle, and to be honest, I don't like discussing NFC West games. Nobody cares about them. Nobody besides Seattle, St. Louis, San Francisco, and Arizona fans cares about the NFC West. It's interesting to see who's going to win the NFC West. Personally, I think 7 wins gets the NFC West 1 this year. I don't think the team that wins the NFC West finishes at 500. Maybe they might just might squeeze it in the last week, but I don't know. We'll see. I've got, boy, this is tough. I've got St. Louis winning this football game. New England and Pittsburgh, going to be a good game tonight. Tom Brady is beat up. And that's interesting. Steelers defense, will they be able to take advantage of that? How will the Patriots come out and react after the complete annihilation that they took by the Browns last weekend? It'll be interesting to watch. I've got Pittsburgh. Tomorrow night, Philadelphia, Washington. Donovan McNabb gets his second shot at Philly. He won the first time around. But of course, first time around, there wasn't all this controversy about everything. And it's definitely it's interesting. I think Philadelphia wins this game. I think Philadelphia is definitely a team to watch out for, whether it's Cobb. You know, I know it will be a Vic at quarterback, but whether it's Cobb or whether it's Vic, I think they're just a team to watch. That's just how I feel about it. Alrighty, I know the last few ones I kind of mailed in, but we were kind of rushed for time. In fact, we're really rushed for time. We only had 10 seconds to get out of here for the 15 minutes are up. There you go. There's Week 10 picks. Everything else is up. I am Jonathan Mozette for JamSports100 and JamSports.org. I'm out. See you later.